room glow, not because the sun is strong, but because it's lingering. It doesn't rush to disappear, it leaves light behind, like love too gentle to say goodbye. There was a time when every evening felt unfinished, but tonight the silence feels complete. Not because you stayed, but because you loved deeply enough to leave something soft behind. I sit in that glow that falls between shadows, and I let it touch what you once held. Not all endings are sudden, some drift like gold across the floor. All the light left, it's not gone. It's folded into corners, nestled into the way I still breathe slowly when I think of you. Spotlight, no burst, just glow, just grace. Your name doesn't echo, it rests like sunbeams on closed eyelids, or dust dancing in stillness. You were never about noise, you were warm, pressed quietly into the shape of goodbye, without ever using the word. Now I light no candles, because the room already remembers. Some love leaves light, and that's enough to stay warm. All the light left remains in the air, in the tilt of quiet furniture, in the rhythm of me standing still. You didn't vanish, you softened, and the world softened with you. The light knows when to stay, not for brightness, but for comfort. All the light left stays where memory breathes, and when night finally comes, I don't feel afraid, because your glow, silent, tender, holds the dark back, just enough for me to feel seen. Even now, there is light, and that means you're still here. The room didn't echo, it absorbed, held things we left unsaid, like they were too sacred to lose. Silence here wasn't absence, it was presence in its softest form. You weren't speaking, but every pause between your glances filled with meaning. We sat on the same couch, an ocean of stillness between us, and yet it wasn't distance. It was a kind of peace that comes from not needing to perform. You looked at me, not asking for words, but offering space, and I accepted. Some silences are soft places to rest our truths. Every quiet keeps the tremble before a smile, the sigh that never needed to end. past like dusk, slow and forgiving. I watch the way your fingers traced invisible patterns on your knee. Nervous maybe, but not afraid. I wanted to reach out, but the choir was already doing the holding. I close my eyes and listen to the stillness between us, as if it were music. It was. You don't need to say you care when the silence already does. Every quiet keeps a memory, a maybe, a moment that didn't demand anything. And that was the miracle. We didn't try to fix it, we just let it be. And it stayed. There are things the world forgets, but quiet remembers. Every quiet keeps all that we weren't ready to say. And that's okay, 'cause not all love is loud. Some love just listens and stays even after we leave the room. Still here, still ours, still quiet. It moves without asking, without staying. The way memories brush past on a quiet afternoon, a whisper that doesn't need a mouth to be heard. Today the breeze came through the open window, and for a moment I thought it was you. Not in voice but in feeling, a presence soft as breath against my cheek. No hello, no goodbye, just a reminder that closeness isn't always something you can hold. Sometimes it just passes through and lingers anyway. The wind doesn't stay, but it always returns. If the wind spoke, it would say what we couldn't. It would carry the words we left behind, folded into pauses wrapped in distance. But the meaning would be clear in how softly it arrived and how gently it stayed. I stood still and the trees did all the talking. Leaves fluttered like hearts trying to decide. The wind slipped through the sleeve of my shirt, and I didn't shiver, I listened. Because somewhere in that hush was the answer to questions I never dared ask. Some truths don't need voices, they just need to be felt. If the wind spoke, it would hum your name. Without sound, it would thread your laughter. Through the hush of dusk, it would say I'm nearer without ever being seen. If the wind spoke, I would answer with stillness, with memory, with open windows and open everything hurt. The morning didn't arrive, it drifted in, no alarms, no sharp light, just a quiet spill of warmth that touched everything without needing to ask. Your hand was already there when I opened my eyes, not moving, not holding, just resting like the night hadn't fully left, but didn't need to. You turned your face toward the window, and in that soft glow, everything sharp faded away. The corners of the room blurred, the world felt rounder, gentler, like it was made to be held, not fixed. There are mornings that don't ask anything of you, just that you be. Morning without edges, where breath is the only clock and touch is enough of a plan. We didn't need to speak, we didn't need to move. The air around us carried all the love that hadn't been said, but had always been there. The blanket pulled at our feet, forgotten. The tea went cold, but time wasn't wasted. It waited with us, even the birds outside sang quieter than usual, as if they knew this kind of morning needed no music but our stillness. You smiled once, half awake, and it felt like the sun nodded. Some mornings don't arise, they unfold. Morning without edges, a hush of softness, the outline of joy with nothing to prove. If forever had a beginning, it would feel like this, unmarked, undemanding, undeniably ours. The world doesn't always rush, sometimes it remembers to breathe. Morning without edges, where time dissolves into light and skin. Nothing dramatic, nothing grand, just presence pure and plain, and that somehow felt like everything. The day will come, but this moment, this one, was enough. The world begins with a hush, like something beautiful is about to leave. A single guitar note stirs the silence, echoing like a thought. You're afraid to speak. Nothing breaks. Everything floats. There were no footsteps, but I knew you passed. The air still held your weight, light as the scent of something fading. Outside petals drifted from the branch that never asked them to stay. I sat at the edge of morning, watching things let go, without anchor, without sound. And I wondered how softness could ache so much. Some things don't fall, they surrender gracefully. Petals drift slowly, not to flee, but to dance. Every descent feels like a quiet goodbye you didn't see coming. Not painful, just tender, just real. I remember your hands brushing my hair, not to fix it, just to feel that it was there. I remember the look in your eyes when you wanted to say more, but didn't want to ruin the quiet that look still lives in afternoons like these. It's not sharp, it just lingers like the last color of spring before it turns away. Not everything leaves with sound, some things dissolve in beauty. Petals drip slowly and teach us to fall without fear, to trust the wind with our most fragile parts, to let beauty go and call it love, not loss. When the world is quiet enough, you'll hear the flowers letting go, not in sadness, but in peace. Petals drift slowly as if time were a lover, patient and kind, and when they land, it's not the end, it's just the beginning of something still. You never saw the last petal fall, but you knew when it did. Underwater, you didn't say goodbye, but somehow I heard it in the way your absence leaned gently into the corners of the room. The chair you used to sit in felt full, not empty. The space you left didn't echo, it whispered, and I followed that whisper through the quiet until it led me back to you. Sometimes silence isn't empty, it's just love speaking softer than before. Silence carries you through hallways I still walk, through sunlight I don't step into. I don't need your voice to remember your presence. I only need this hush that lingers after the light shifts. It's enough, it always was. The wind brushes past me like you used to, not seeking attention, just being there. Sometimes I close my eyes and hear your laughter in the silence between two passing cars, and it doesn't hurt, not the way it used to. Now it feels like being held by something I can't name, but still believe in. There is music in every moment we never said aloud. Silence carries you, not away but deeper, and into the pauses of my thoughts, into the way I reach for calm. Your memory doesn't shout, it rested, and that rested it remains. You are still here, in the hush before the world begins again. Silence carries you through the ache, through the peace, through the part of me that learned to listen. hasn't fully woken yet. A dim shimmer rests on the windowsill. One breath and then another, each as fragile as morning light on bare skin. You didn't speak, you didn't move, you were there in the pause before my thoughts began. The air between us felt like something just born, tender and unsure, but already loved. I turned slightly, not to break the silence, but to breathe it in, with you beside me. Some mornings don't need music, just the sound of someone still here, softly breathing in the moment, the hush, the warmth that lingers between two hearts. We weren't saying much, but we were saying everything, not in words, but in how we stayed. I watched your chest rise and fall slower as the sway of trees and windless air. There was no urgency, no weight, just breath shared with the world and with me. The kind of closeness that doesn't ask for proof, only presence. And that was enough to call it love. You don't always need to hold someone to feel their heart touch yours, softly breathing in the stillness that heals, the silence that stays. Your presence, like morning fog, softens everything sharp. And as I breathe, I remember you are still here. Softly breathing in, no past, no future, just this inhale between two souls. And maybe that's all we need, to breathe in slowly together until the world learns to hush again. And when I exhale, I'm still with you. A hush settles in, not silence but a breath held gently. The roads close like the last warmth of sunlight caught in a window pane. A quiet wind moves through, barely there, but enough to carry a memory. It wasn't the stillness that surprised me, it was how much it understood. The way the room forgot to echo, the way the world paused just long enough for the heart to catch up. No clock, no rush, just the soft bloom of existing. I sat by the window, watching the dust float, and felt less alone. Stillness didn't knock, it just arrived and asked for nothing. Stillness gently falls like fog over a sleeping field, like time folding into itself. No loud lessons, no sharp truths, only the feeling that you've been here before and left a part of yourself behind. The light dimmed without drama, the corners of the room softened. I placed my hand over my chest and felt no one naming it. Stillness gently falls and you don't need to hold it, just breathe and stay long enough to feel it pass through and let it leave without regret. Everything is still, everything is full. Not everything fades, some things settle into corners, into the folds of memory, into the shape we make when we curl up, missing something we never quite held. Your presence was never loud, you moved through moments like mist across a lake, barely seen but changing everything. I still sit in the places you once stood, in the air still bends in the shape of your absence. But there's no wake, only quiet, only the kind of peace that doesn't ask for closure, just a little stillness. Softness isn't what leaves last, it's what stays. Long after the noise is gone, where softness remains, there are echoes but no weight. There are memories but they hold no sharp edges, just warmth pressed gently into yesterday's fabric. You never said goodbye, you didn't have to. The way you were was already enough. I keep things in the way you used to leave them, not as a shrine but as a way to keep listening, to let the soft remain without pulling it back. Sometimes I find myself smiling for no reason, but it's not without reason. It's you still here in all the spaces I thought were empty. What you gave wasn't loud, but it was lasting. Where softness remains, I return, not to mourn, but to breathe. You were a storm, you were shelter, and I carry that quiet wherever I go. Where softness remains, there is still light, there is still love, unspoken but undeniable. You gave more than presence, you gave peace, and in that peace I find myself again. And that's where you are now, not gone, just gentle, still. It begins with stillness, not empty but full of things, too gentle to speak, a room with no sound, but all the presence in the world. You always found the places no one else noticed, the corner of the couch that caught the morning, the hallway that hummed with yesterday's laughter. so safe. Not all shelter is made of walls. Some are made of quiet, where the quiet stays. A cup still warm, a sweater draped across a chair. The hush after your footsteps pause. I come back to this stillness like a prayer. 'Cause where the quiet stays, you do too. The clock ticks, but the moment doesn't move. It waits with me outside. The wind stirs the leaves, but inside the air holds its breath. Your absence is not cold, it's calm. It's that soft middle space between memory and presence, where nothing breaks and nothing begs to be fixed. I don't speak here, I just listen to the silence shaped like you, where the quiet stays.